Have you ever cared so much about someone that you kept stepping in every time they struggled? You answered the calls, you solved the problems, you calmed the crisis, you carried the emotional weight, and every time things began to fall apart, you were there. At first, it feels like love, it feels like loyalty, it feels like being responsible. But sometimes, without realizing it, helping too much does something dangerous. It creates dependence, and that is one of the hardest truths to accept. Because not every rescue is kindness. Sometimes rescuing people too quickly protects them from the very lesson they need most. Some people only change when they feel the ground moving beneath them. Some people only wake up when comfort disappears. Some people only become responsible when they understand that something real can be lost. As long as life feels stable, many people continue exactly as they are. They delay difficult decisions. They avoid uncomfortable conversations. They ignore problems they should face. They keep living as if someone else will eventually fix it. And often, someone does. Maybe it is a parent. Maybe it is a partner. Maybe it is a friend. Maybe it is you. You become the invisible force holding everything together. You remember what everyone forgets. You repair what everyone breaks. You absorb what everyone avoids. You prevent disasters nobody else even notices. And little by little, something subtle begins to happen. Your effort becomes normal. People stop seeing the cost of what you do. They see the result, but not the exhaustion behind it. They notice that things work, but not how much energy it takes from you to keep them working. And that's where the danger begins. Because once people become used to being rescued, they can start expecting rescue. Not because they are evil, not because they consciously want to use you, but because human beings adapt quickly to what is constantly available. When someone is always there to soften the consequences, urgency disappears. And when urgency disappears, growth often disappears with it. Think about it. How many people truly change while everything still feels comfortable? How many people become disciplined when there is no real cost to staying careless? How many people learn responsibility while someone else keeps carrying the weight for them? Usually, very few. Real change often begins when the situation becomes impossible to ignore, when the boat starts taking on water, when excuses stop working, when avoidance becomes expensive, when people finally feel that if they do not move now, they may lose something that matters. That's when something shifts. They become alert, they think differently, they act, they take ownership. Not because someone gave them another speech, not because someone warned them one more time, but because reality finally became louder than comfort. And that's why sometimes silence teaches more than advice. There are moments when words no longer help. You can explain, you can repeat, you can warn, you can beg. You can try to make people understand, but some lessons don't enter through words. They enter through consequences. And consequences are powerful teachers. The absence of immediate help forces people to think. It forces them to ask difficult questions. What now? How do I fix this? What happens if nobody steps in? Those moments are uncomfortable, sometimes painful, sometimes messy. But they are often real, and real learning usually is. That doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean abandoning people. It doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means understanding the difference between support and substitution. Support helps someone stand. Substitution keeps standing in their place. That difference matters. Because when you constantly do for others what they must eventually learn to do for themselves, you may protect them today while weakening them tomorrow. And many people who always rescue others know a very private kind of exhaustion. They're strong on the outside, reliable, calm, capable. But inside, they are tired. tired of always being the one who notices, tired of always being the one who fixes, tired of carrying emotional weight that was never meant to belong to only one person. And sometimes what hurts most is not the effort itself, it's the invisibility. It's realizing that what you give so consistently has become expected instead of appreciated, that your constant presence has made your value harder to see. This happens everywhere, in families, in friendships, in relationships, at work. The person who always solves problems becomes the person everyone depends on, but rarely does anyone stop to ask what it costs them. Rarely does anyone ask how long they can keep carrying it. That's why stepping back is not always selfish. Sometimes stepping back is honest. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the healthiest thing you can do. There's dignity in stepping back a little and observing. There's wisdom in allowing reality to speak where your words no longer can. There's courage in allowing others to feel the weight they have avoided, because sometimes only absence reveals value. Sometimes only distance creates clarity. Sometimes people only understand what was holding everything together when it's no longer automatically there. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable. You may feel guilty. You may feel worried. You may feel tempted to step in immediately. That's normal, because caring deeply makes it hard to watch a struggle. But struggle is not always destruction. Sometimes struggle is the beginning of strength. Sometimes pressure reveals ability. Sometimes people discover parts of themselves only when nobody else is carrying them. They become more resourceful, more aware, more responsible, more resilient. Not because life became easier, but because life finally required something from them. That is how maturity often begins, not when someone saves us, but when we realize we must move. Life teaches this again and again. Not everything should be rescued immediately. Not every discomfort should be removed. Not every problem should be solved before it reaches the person who created it. Because some processes only begin when the water enters the boat, when the fear of sinking becomes real, when waiting is no longer possible. That is often the moment people wake up. And maybe that is the lesson some of us need to hear too. You do not have to carry everything. You do not have to prevent every consequence. You do not have to save everyone before they've had the chance to discover their own strength. Sometimes love does not look like stepping in. Sometimes love looks like stepping back, not to punish, not to abandon, but to allow growth, to allow responsibility, to allow reality to do what your endless effort never could. And maybe the hardest part of caring for people is learning when your help heals and when your help quietly keeps them from becoming who they need to be. So if you have been carrying too much lately, remember this: helping is beautiful, supporting is powerful, being there matters. But sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is the space to rise on their own. Because some people do not truly wake up until they feel the boat begin to sink. And sometimes that is exactly where their strength begins. If you love this video, make sure to like this and subscribe to this channel for more content like this.